You're looking live at a damp and foggy Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium in the heart of the border town, Junction City, Arkansas, as the Dragons, for the 15th time in the past 18 seasons and the 16th time overall, are set to play a little post-Turkey Day football. I'm Jacob Pumphrey with the Dragon Sports Network, and I'm joined atop the Emerson Brewer press box here at Paul H. Muse Field with our coach, our in-house analyst, Coach Gary Meeks. And I tell you what, Coach, we've had 2 playoff games here at the Muse, but it's something about post-Thanksgiving, and you get to that third round, that quarterfinal round, like we said just a minute ago, the 16th time Junction City's made it this far. You know something special brewing, and that's the case tonight.
Yes, sir. Tonight you got 2 good teams, battling out, to take that next step to the next round. And, like you said, a wet, damping fall Paul H. Muse Stadium, I think it's going to play a factor, in offense tonight. When you look at that DesArc offense, they run that old wing tee and double slot, try to pound it, take 2 or 3 yards at a time. And I think the key thing for the Dragons defense tonight is to get them out the field on third downs. I think they were going to try to chew up the clock, and try to keep the ball out of Dragon offensive hands. And on the Dragon offense, I'm gonna hit on, like I've been hitting on every playoffs, you got to finish drives. You're getting deeper in that playoff team, where teams are a little bit, stiffer defense. You're facing tougher teams, and once you get inside what you call the purple zone, you got to put points up on the board. And hopefully tonight, the Dragon offense is clicking on all cylinders. They got so many weapons on the field that it's hard to focus on one.
Yeah, you're right about that, Coach. DesArc enters at 9-3 overall, 6-1 out of the 6-2A. They ended up taking the 2nd seed out of that conference. They are the number 7 ranked team in the state, and as you mentioned, Coach, this is a DesArc Eagle offense that loves to hold on to the football. They like to put together sustaining drives, multiple play drives. They average 333 yards per game rushing. So it's a formidable opponent tonight that the Dragons are going to be having to face. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us. We're going to pause for 2 minutes. This is Junction City Football on the Dragon Sports Network.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Lord, as friends and family continue to travel in this weather, we pray.
Back live at Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. Quarterfinal round of the Class 2A state playoffs as number 3 Junction City, the top seed out of the A2A, plays host to the DesArc Eagles, the number 7 ranked team in the state, who claimed the 2nd seed out of the 6-2A. I'm Jacob Pumphrey with the Dragon Sports Network, and if you're joining us on the radio, 101.5 The Hog, we thank you for tuning in tonight. Should be a good one on tap here as these 2 teams look to advance to the state semifinals. DesArc, no stranger, Coach Meeks, to the quarterfinals as they have made it to the third round of the state playoffs in 5 of the past 6 seasons. And as we were kind of preparing for this game this week, obviously, folks, if you're not familiar with the DesArc Eagles, which you should be if you're a Dragon fan, this will be the 4th meeting all time between these two schools, with all the previous 3 meetings coming since 2008. But get this, 2 of them have come in the state championship, and another one come here in the border town in the quarterfinal round in a year that Junction City went on to win the state championship. So the Eagles have been in the way of the Dragons in 3 of the program's 6 state titles. And so you got to think, Coach Meeks, I've thought about this a lot. Last week you said there comes a point when you get tired of people beating on you. And I made the comment that back around 97, 98, 99, there was a program on the Arkansas-Louisiana state line that got tired of folks beating around on them and did something about it, and here we are tonight. And that's the case with DesArc. Talk a little bit about what you expect from the Eagles tonight as they take the field, because like we said, they've got playmakers, and with a wing T offense, they can get the ball in multiple players' hands throughout the night.
Yes, you know, like I said, they run that double slide, double wing, and try to eat up the clock. And look for them, you know, to don't get in a hurry offensively, you know, just take 2 or 3 yards at the pocket, you know, and get first downs. And they don't pass much. You know, I was talking to one of the defense coaches down there, Johnson defense coach, said when they do pass, it's not no 5 and out or nothing. They'll spread you out and go for the end zone, you know, when they do pass. So our D-backs got to stay alert. I think this game really going to come down between the Johnson City defensive line and the DesArc offensive line. You know, that's where the ball game going to determine it, you know, with the field being like it is and the way DesArc like to run the ball is going to slow them down. The Dragon defensive line going to have to get pressure up front and make them go backwards instead of go forward.
A slow, steady rain fell throughout the early part of the afternoon here on Friday. And it would, like you said, Coach, it will definitely affect both teams tonight. Maybe Junction City a little more since they like to throw it probably just a little more than DesArc will. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the game plan for both teams coming into this one. Just under 7.5 until kickoff here of the quarterfinal round, the Class 2A state playoffs, Junction City and DesArc. For the 4th time, these two teams are meeting against each other. And as we said, Coach, Junction City claimed 2 state championships against the Eagles and also was able to defeat DesArc in the quarterfinal round. But we talk about that Eagle offense. Jackson Morton, 1,200 yards rushing this season, 14 touchdowns. Garrett Goodman, he's the guy that's going to help him get going on the offensive side of the football as well, quarterback in that offense. If you're let's flip to the other side here, Coach. This is a stat that our crack research department, so to speak, here at the Dragon Sports Network was able to come up with. Since the start of 2017, Coach Jones's first game as head coach of the Junction City Dragons, who, by the way, he's 22-3 since taking over as head coach at the beginning of 2017. Since 2017, the Junction City Dragons have, including defensive and special teams touchdowns, 60 scoring drives of 60 seconds or less.
Really?
So we talk about a DesArc Eagle offense that likes to hold on to the football. They like to keep it on the ground. They like to eat up yards, eat up time. But on the other side of that with Junction City, I think their longest drive this year has been 6 minutes, and that was the drive against Fordyce that they ended up going down and winning the ball game. The only time they scored in that game, and obviously it helped them lock up the number 1 seed. But talk a little bit about the Dragon offense and what you expect to see out of them, because, you know, at the beginning of the year it was, what's wrong with the Dragon offense? They can't click. They got to get the ball in the playmaker's hands, blah, blah, blah. What have you seen so far, especially since the playoffs have started from that Dragon offense?
You know, I think Coach Jones went back to his board, and put players in spots where they need to be at. You know, you got 2,000 yards rushers on the field with Cook and Gibson, which he can put Cook outside the receiver, and he can also receive the ball. Then you got Cavante Haynes, a real deep threat at receiver. He can beat you on the short route, and he got the speed to beat you on top with a long pass. Offensively, it's going to start off with the offensive line. You got to get in there, get your blocks, and get you hooked up, and keep going. You got to take advantage of when you get the ball offensively. You got to take advantage of it. You got to score. Like I said earlier, when you get inside the purple zone, you got to put 6 points up on the board. And like I said, the Dragon offense is dangerous now. You got so many weapons all over the field. You can't just key on one guy. Like tonight, I really think in this fall really going to affect on Coach Jones' passing. ability, to what you want to call passing, because you can't hang the ball in the air, you're going to lose the ball. And I think look for him to get a good ground game out of Gibson and Cook tonight.
Definitely have been the workhorses for the Dragon offense so far this season. Over 2,100 yards combined rushing. 30 times those two young men have found the end zone combined. Just very impressive numbers out of the senior Gibson and the junior Jakiron Cook as the Dragon captains are making their way to the field. We're just under 4.5 until kickoff. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. This is Junction City Football on the Dragon Sports Network and 101.5 The Hog.
The schools participating in this football playoff game are members of the Arkansas Activities Association as authorized by their school boards. The administrators of these schools have helped to write the rules and regulations that govern participation of students in competitive activities for the school that are members of the AAA. The Arkansas Activities Association, which is sponsoring this football playoff game, is a voluntary, nonprofit educational association of some 500 junior and senior public and private high schools of Arkansas. The regulations which guide these events are adopted by the schools themselves and determine the type of program they believe to be the most desirable of the high school youth. The Arkansas Activities Association is one of 50 state organizations that belong to the National Federation of State High School Associations. This association formulates policies, game rules, and standards for inter-school competition. The schools of Arkansas have adopted these rules on eligibility, which correspond with those recommended by the National Federation. The schools participating in this football playoff.
Welcome back to Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. Junction City and DesArc set the clash in the Class 2A state quarterfinals. I'm Jacob Pumphrey with the Dragon Sports Network. And tonight in the border town, it will be the 77th playoff game in program history. And the man to my right is responsible for winning the first one. A Dragon legend in his own right, Mr. Sean Enos. And I tell you what, Mr. Sean, thank you for joining us tonight. First off, what do you think about the conditions out here? I mean, this is something I don't know if we've ever seen here before.
I don't recall it, Jacob. Glad to be here. When we drove in a minute ago, I thought surely the fog's not going to be what I think it is out there. And sure enough, what was my first comment to you? Reminded me of the old NFL game, I believe, in Chicago, where the fog was blowing in off the Great Lakes. Man, this is crazy. I can't see the visitors' bleachers at all.
You cannot see the DesArc fans in the visitors' bleachers. You can definitely hear them tonight as they have brought a pretty good crowd from up north of Little Rock as the Eagles have won the toss. And I believe they will get the football here as we're set to start the Class 2A state quarterfinal matchup. The fourth meeting all time between these two programs. And the last 3 times these two have tangled on the gridiron, a lot has been on the line as the Dragons have claimed 2 state championships over the Eagles as well as a quarterfinal victory in a state championship year.
Yeah, Jacob, last week everybody heard me talking about the white-on-white numbers and letters on jerseys. Today we've got fog, and fireworks.
And I tell you what,
we're speechless.
I'm about to say we are speechless. If those fireworks are any sign of the fireworks tonight, we're in for a treat as Junction City, 6-time Class 2A state champions, have taken the field, and the DesArc Eagles have taken the field. They'll be in the green hats, white jerseys, green bottoms, and the Dragons decked out in their all purple. And as if we needed any more smoke here to any more haze to cover the Muse, as we like to call it here in the border town, we definitely got it. As the game clock is set, and we are moments away from kickoff. We're in the Class 2A state quarterfinals.
We're standing here looking at each other, wondering why the radio guys didn't know that the fireworks were going to happen, right?
Yeah. Come on, guys. I think they're just as shocked as just about everybody in the
crew
stadium.
Over here had no idea either, obviously. I thought those were for when they introduced us at the beginning of the show.
I think they fired off late. That's what it was.
They thought Wayne was here tonight. That was for him.
That was for him. Jack Smith set to tee things up from his 40-yard line.
I tell you what, this is as unique of an atmosphere as I've ever seen a football game in tonight.
This is definitely something that I have not seen. But I'd like to say I've been around it a good bit, but
we can see the numbers though, folks, so that helps a little bit. Far side of the field, it'll be difficult. All right.
And Smith, it hits at about the 25-yard line, and it will be recovered by Cooper Roberts, the junior return man. It hit at about the 25. He was able to touch it at about the 21, and he covered it up at about the 16-yard line. That's where we'll see from the DesArc Eagle offense for the first time tonight.
Jacob, last week, one of the things Gary and I noticed immediately was on punts and kickoffs how the ball is just dying like a golf ball hitting a green. It's just stopping. And so that's something to watch for tonight to see how these guys handle these special teams opportunities.
And with that steady rain we received early this afternoon, is definitely going to make the field conditions something to keep an eye on as well. As they'll break in the wing tee, they'll work to the left side. And it's just going to be a quarterback keeper right up the gut over right guard. It'll pick up about 4, maybe 5 yards. Hard to see on that far side where the line judge is at.
Interesting that last week McCrory came out and tried to test the interior of our line like that with quarterback keepers. I wonder what it is on film they pick up where they think they can start a game that way.
I don't know, but they gained about 5, maybe 6 yards on that carry. Ball spotted about the 22-yard line, middle of the field. And I tell you what, folks.
It's impossible.
We can see the outline of helmets, but that is about it.
This is something else.
As the running back takes the handoff.
Are you sure?
And it'll be over left guard this time. He's fired up. He's got a first down. I guess he's got a first down. We'll say he does. That's Jackson Morton. And I tell you what, Jackson Morton, one of the top rushers for this Eagle offense. And folks, if you can't see 101.5 The Hog, you can catch it there as well.
Folks, we can't even see the Junction sideline at this point.
1,232 yards for Morton there. He gets 7 and a first down, and the Eagles will reset the chains. And they'll give to the fullback, really nowhere to go. Host of Dragons, not sure which ones, but it's several of them on the stop. And they'll give him forward progression just across the 30-yard line.
Boy, you're pretty sure they're not going to throw the ball in these conditions. So they're going to keep it on the ground for a while at least, Jacob.
10.5 to play, first quarter action if you're just joining us, quarterfinal round. And to say it's a foggy matchup here at the Muse might be an understatement.
Smoky also.
2nd down and 8 to go. Deep motion is Roberts, and we've got whistles for the first time tonight. And how they could see somebody false start is beyond me, as they'll back him up 5 yards, bring up a 2nd down and 13 for the Eagles. Clock stops at 10:24.
We'll have to take their word for it, Jacob.
We'll
move.
We'll definitely have to take their word for it. That'll put the Eagle offense back to about the 20. I believe they'll spot at the 26-yard line. Fog's starting to clear just a little bit here at the Muse.
You know, it really makes you wonder what the referees can see out there in these conditions.
After the 5-yard penalty backs him up, it'll be a toss left. Running back's got it, hit at the line of scrimmage. Not much room to work with there. That's Jakyron Cook coming in from the secondary.
That's a great play, stepping up from the secondary and setting that edge and not letting the guy get wide on us. Put him on the ground with a good tackle. You know, as you watch football all weekend, Jacob, all last couple of days, you think about how poor tackling can be at the collegiate and pro levels, and it's good to see kids come out here and get a guy on the ground like that.
For sure, and truly wrap up and bring him to the turf.
Bring him to the turf.
Single man motion out of the backfield, 3-step drop, slips as he fires across the middle, incomplete.
Okay, now see, there's an example of the footing becoming a situation tonight. We have the left-handed quarterback, not that that matters, but he drops back, and when he plants his back foot, it goes completely out from under him. When you throw the football, that's where you get all your powers from your base. Now, he did throw a decent pass down the middle of the field with some zip on it, but he did not have his lower body with him on that throw. So they're not scared to throw the ball even in these conditions, and he looks like he's got a pretty good arm, so we'll look for that.
And so the incompletion on third down will bring up a 4th and 11. It'll force a punt here for the Eagles. And the snap's on the ground, and he's going to just have to fall on it in Junction City with excellent field position here to start their first drive. On the botch snap, the Dragon offense, Hutchison and co. will have it at the 13-yard line.
And see there, Jacob, the ball hits this wet ground. It's not going to hop back up to you and give you any help at all. So that happened last week as McCrory's punter mishandled almost every snap. So watch for that.
9:27 to play opening quarter. Hutchison in the shotgun, gives to Gibson over the left side, still on his feet. Bounces around down inside the 10, and I believe they're going to mark him at the 8-yard line.
That's a good, tough run there, moving forward the entire time. And it's like I heard him talking about Adrian Peterson yesterday, saying the guy always falls forward. That's an important trait for a running back, especially down in the red zone.
He falls forward after about a 6-yard gain. 2nd down and 4. Hutchinson will keep now. He'll plow ahead as he gets, I believe he's going to cross the 5-yard line down inside to around the 4.
Same deal, moving the pile forward, falling forward, getting every extra yard that we can.
Job on the stop for the Eagles. As Hutchinson just about a yard short of the first down, they mark him at the 5. 3rd down and 1 for Junction City. 8.5 to play opening quarter. Scoreless. Dragons knocking on the door. They give to Gibson over right guard. Dives for the touchdown. Junction City. Dante Gibson from 5 yards out. And after a botched snap on a punt attempt, the Dragons have it inside the purple zone. 3 plays and a score. And it's 6-0. Junction City on top of DesArc with 8:29 to play in the first quarter.
Jacob, special teams, man. You know how it goes. Sometimes special teams can be the worst thing about a team's performance some nights.
And they give to Gibson on the 2-point try. He lowers his head, and I believe he crossed, and he did.
He got in.
Timeout on the field. 8:29 to play in the opening quarter. Junction City 8, DesArc 8. This is Dragon Football on the Dragon Sports Network and 101.5 The Hog. We'll be back in 30. Welcome back to Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. And I promise you folks, we are here, whether you can see the action or not. Junction City, a 3-play scoring drive. And as we said in the Union Kennel Farm Supply pregame show, since the start of 2017, Junction City has had 60 scoring drives of 60 seconds or less. Make that number 61 as the Dragons punch one in there to take an early lead here over the DesArc Eagles, the 2 seed out of the 6-2A. Winner of this one gets the winner of Foreman and Earl. We'll step over to the scoreboard here before too long as Smith has it teed up. It'll be another deep kick fielded at about the 18-yard line. Work up toward the middle of the field. Clipped at about the 26, finally brought down at about the 29-yard line.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to field these kicks and punts clean, or there's no telling what's going to happen to the ball on the ground. Besides the fact that it won't bounce, it's going to be wet as well.
Roberts returns the kickoff for about 12 yards. DesArc will have it, their second offensive drive of the night at the 30-yard line. Moving right to left, 8:25 to play opening quarter. Junction City on top, 8-0.
Let's see if they go back to the passing game, Jacob, now that they can see a little bit on the north side of the field.
Roberts, the deep man in motion. And they fake to the fullback, going to run the option. And going to have a pretty positive gain there.
Yeah, they kept stringing that one out towards the sideline. The quarterback decides he had a better shot at it, and he just tucks it and keeps.
Good job right there from Garrett Goodman, the senior quarterback. They got him listed at 5'5", 130.
No way. That's not the same kid.
That's definitely not the same kid. Definitely not the same measurements there on that young man. He's a pretty well-built young man. As he's under center here on 2nd down and 2. They give to the fullback straight ahead. He's got a first down, a couple more yards after that. Kyron Cook brings him down. That'll reset the chains as the Eagles are knocking on the door of the midfield stripe.
Jacob, you got to say that they've got a lot of different things in their offense that we've seen so far. They don't mind throwing the ball down the middle of the field, which is a tough place to complete one. They're running the ball to the edges. They're running the ball at the middle. They're running the ball with the quarterback. And, of course, they're giving it to running back. So they've got a lot in their playbook.
They'll break the huddle. Wing T formation. 1st down and 10 from the 49. And they'll run the option again. Again, Goodman keeps. He'll pick up 4 yards.
Jacob, we're in a spread offense kind of world, but I tell you what, sometimes when you play these guys that like to have that quarterback keeper in play a lot, you have to kind of think a minute about what you're doing on defense, maybe have a couple of huddles with the defensive coordinator or whatever, because this is assignment football right here when you're deciding who's going to take the quarterback, who's got the pitch man, and this is 50, 60, 70-year-old football when you start running that play a lot.
And the Eagles are already working on about a 2-minute drive here, definitely what they want to do to keep the ball away from the Dragon offense. They fake to the man in motion, nowhere to go as they give it back on the little misdirection carry. That was Donald McCoy, senior slot back. Javassier Cook in on the stop. And the defense's leading tackler in sophomore Tanner Barnett, 72 stops this year. That's number 73, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 5 for the Eagles.
Tanner Barnett had himself a big game last week, Jacob.
Yes, he did.
Kid was in on every tackle, it seemed like, in the first half of that game.
And they're definitely going to need him to step up and have another big performance tonight. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside for 30 with them. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network and 101.5 The Hog. .6:27 to play, opening quarter, 8-0 Junction City on top of DesArc. Jacob Pumphrey alongside Sean Enos and the rest of the DSN crew here atop the Emerson Brewer press box. The Eagles faced with a 3rd down and 5 from midfield. Roberts, the deep man in motion, and they're going to get Gerodney Tubbs jumped across the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be an easy 3rd down conversion there as the offsides penalty will give the Eagles the 1st down, and for the first time tonight, they're into Junction City territory here with 6:12 to play in the opening quarter.
It's one of those deals where you gave them one. Let's see if you can regroup and, put a stop to this drive right here now.
This is a Dragon defense that last week against Mountainburg, they were kind of they were bending a lot, but when they got down inside the red zone, they did not break. So we'll see what the Eagles, if they're able to find the end zone tonight. Going to be a pitch from Goodman. He gets it to Roberts, tries to get the corner, and Cavante Haynes pops the ball loose, and it's recovered by Jakyron Cook. Yeah, Roberts is on the turf. He was hit hard by Cavante Haynes on a beeline. The Dragons have the football, but there's going to be an injury timeout with 5:42 to play. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. Welcome back live to Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. Players shaking up on the field. Number 11, Cooper Roberts, the ball carrier on that last play, offensive play for DesArc. He was hit by Cavante Haynes. The ball squirted loose, and Jakyron Cook, and Sean, we talked about it. You talked about it several times earlier in the broadcast about, when it hits the turf, it's not going anywhere. No. And that was the case there. Ball went loose, hit right on the hashes. Jakyron Cook, Johnny on the spot, recovers it. Junction City's got it. First down and 10 from the 35-yard line. They'll be moving left to right. They've got an 8-point advantage here with 5:42 to play as Roberts slowly making his way back to the DesArc sideline. Good to see him on his feet and moving that way.
Yeah, Jacob, the kids, he's definitely shaking some cobwebs there, and I'm not sure I'd put the kid back in the game after watching him walk off like this. I mean, he's doing it under his own power, but I don't know. With these, if that was a head shot problem, I'm not sure I'd let the kid play the rest of the night.
8-0 is our score. 5:42 to play, opening quarter. Junction City, the top seed out of the A2A. They've got it again offensively. They give to Gibson, who gives it back to Haynes. He's got it, and he's got running room for days. Big block out there on the edge, and he is going to go the distance. Cavante Haynes, 65 yards to the house, and it's 14-0. Wow, what a play call.
Jacob, you could see it coming. Nobody on that side of the field. You could see it. Uh-oh, is that a...
And that is a penalty flag. It looks like a white one, but it's a yellow hanky on the field, and I believe we might have a blocking in the back.
Well, hopefully it's not on the play that we saw that sprang him right at the end there. Surely not. Looked like he got in front of the kid. Yeah, there's...
Yeah, Jakyron Cook had an initial block, and then as Haynes went by him, I called him Gibson earlier. He started the play, then pitched it back to Haynes, running back across the formation.
Jacob, that was perfectly called, perfectly timed. There was nobody over there once he got a full head of steam going. You could see it from up here.
And they're going to get a block in the...
Okay, well.
And it's going to be a... And 2 penalties tacked on to the... So trying to straighten things up out here. 5.5 to play. The 65-yard scoring run from Cavante Haynes is negated on the penalty. So Junction City's got it. First down and 15. Ball spotted at the 31-yard line.
Jacob, we may save that and run it again to the other side later in the game.
Yeah, you definitely, because there was nobody home.
Or throw a pass off of it.
Definitely opens the option there, and they're going to pitch it to Cook back around the formation. He's still on his feet, and he is across the 40 up to the 45-yard line.
Jacob, on a dry field, I'm not sure he doesn't split those 2 safeties and score on that play, honestly. He couldn't get his feet quite under him enough there at the end, but he got to the 3rd level. On a dry field, he might split those guys or break outside of them and score. Who knows?
As Doug P would say, he'd be headed to the Hardy Mart right now on a dry field. 5:05 to play, first quarter action. 8-0 Junction City on top of DesArc. Dragons going to throw. Hutchison bouncing around in the pocket, going to throw it up. Haynes, one-handed grab at the 45. He's still on his feet. They're going to mark him down at the 39-yard line. Holy cow, Mama gave him 2. He only needed 1. Absolutely great catch right there by Cavante Haynes. He's over 800 yards receiving with that catch, and you see why. Favorite target right there from Hutchison. Wow.
Hey, quarterback's best friend is the guy that can catch one like that. That's as good as you will see in high school or college or pro football. Stabbing one out of there one-handed like that, that's good stuff there.
And that was good coverage as well. But Haynes, tip of the hat to the young man, hauled it in with one paw as Dragons will keep it on the ground here on 1st and 10 from the 39. Be a gain of about 2. As Gibson's on the carry.
To go back to the other play, Jacob, he's running away from the quarterback, too, and stabs it out of the air like that. That makes it really even more impressive. And keep your eye on that tonight as well, because I have a feeling as the visibility improves, we may see a little passing game open up for Junction, especially when we can catch them like that.
We've talked about it several times. Who do you cover as they're going to throw the spot route? Haynes, big block out there on the edge from Blake Wilson, still on his feet. He's got one man to beat. Stiff arms him, and he'll stroll into the end zone for a touchdown. Cavante Haynes, 36-yard touchdown reception from Brady Hutchinson, and now it's 14-0. Junction City with 4:01 to play in the opening quarter.
Jacob, if a receiver that can catch the ball with one hand isn't your best friend as a quarterback, then a play like that certainly is. You throw the ball minimum yardage-wise, but your receiver catches the ball, makes his own way down the field, gets a block or two if he needs it, and scores. You're talking about throwing the ball 5 yards and scoring on it.
And Gibson, for the second time tonight, is in for the 2-point rush. 4:01 to play. Timeout on the field. 16-0 is our score. Junction City on top of DesArc. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. "36-yard pass completion. Brady Hutchinson to Cavante Haynes, and Junction City adds another score as they lead 16-0 here in the first quarter. 4:01 to play. Jack Smith with things teed up from the 40-yard line. Line drive kick across the field. Hits it about the 26, fielded at the 24, and the ball carrier hit immediately and dropped at the 25-yard line. On the return for the Eagles was Jackson Morton, and applying the big hit and the immediate stop was the sophomore K.D. Smith.
Jacob, going back to our drive for just a second for Junction City, if you're DesArc, now you have no idea what Junction's going to come out with the next time on offense and try to do to you. We've opened up the passing game. We've run the ball. I mean, we're showing them a lot more of the playbook, and they don't know what's coming on the next drive, I promise you.
And that's something we've hit on several times. I know Coach Meeks, Wayne have talked about it a lot. Coach Jones decided after that Haynesville game, I'm putting all my weapons on the field.
Yeah.
Because basically it's your best against my best, and I like the hand I'm holding.
Right.
And it's paid dividends so far tonight. As the ball's on the turf, still bouncing around. I think Junction City's got it. The Eagles put it on the turf, and the Dragons come up with it, and they'll have it just outside the purple zone. And great field position once again with 3:53 to play in the first quarter.
You can't do this in the playoffs. You can't do it in any game, but you know, Jacob, turnovers are a huge indication of how you're going to fare in a football game, and you can't go to somebody else's house in the playoffs and turn the ball over. You can't do it.
You're right. We've talked about the quick scoring drives of Junction City. Well, they're even quicker when you give them field position at the 20-yard line. That's where Hutchinson and company have it. They give to Gibson. Going to be a little flea flicker play. Plenty of time to throw. Cavante Haynes wide open. 5, touchdown, Junction City.
Jacob, both receivers are wide open. They ran across. You got a guy crossing going this way. He was wide open. You got a guy crossing that way going wide open. 2 guys were wide open on that play. He just had to pick out which one he wanted to throw it to.
That's unfair right there. 22-0's our score.
That was a good play call. I haven't seen them run that this season. I don't know that they haven't, but I haven't seen it. That's a well-designed play right there. He had 2 guys to pick from.
I agree. We'll have to look at Coach Meeks. I don't know if Junction City has shown that.
Good-looking play there, and it gives possible future opponents something to worry about.
It does, as we're just being alerted of the penalty on the play. And going to be an ineligible receiver downfield. I believe one of the big fellas got too far down the field, so that will negate the touchdown, Pepper. Regardless, opponents have seen it, and like you said, there were 2 guys open. Basically, it's who does Hutchinson want to go with?
10 yards cushion.
As they break the huddle, they'll work twins to the right.
By the way, let's not forget the flea flicker aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. They looked at head coach Stephen Jones for the play. They'll give to Gibson. Powers up the middle, breaks off 2 arm tackles. He's back inside the 15, down to about the 11. And just like clockwork, Dragons back in business here as the clock moves under 3.5 to play on what has been an eventful first quarter of action here from the border town.
Jacob, I looked at you earlier and said, wow, DesArc has pretty good size on the line.
And timeout on the field. We'll step aside with them. We'll be back in 30 seconds. This is Junction City Football on the Dragon Sports Network. Jacob Humphrey alongside Sean Enos, the Dragon Sports Network here in the border town. Junction City 16, DesArc 0, and the Dragons knocking on the door once more. 3:28 to play in the first quarter. We'd like to shout out to a couple of sponsors while we got a chance. Eldorado Chemical, our title sponsor, as well as Union Kinlan Farm Supply, proud sponsor of the Junction City football sponsor of the DSN. Generations Bank, Terminex, and Langsys, just 5 of the proud sponsors of the DSN, allow us to bring Dragon football to each and every one of you wherever you may be. We are in the border town as Gibson gets the carry on 2nd and 1. He's got a first down. It'll set up a goal-to-go opportunity as he moves inside the 5 down to the 4.
Yeah, Jacob, the point I was making earlier, I was talking about how DesArc had some good size on their line. Well, Junction's dominating that good size on both sides of the football right now.
And they call Gibson's number again. He'll muscle his way across the goal line for the touchdown. 3:15 to play in the opening quarter. It is 22-0 Junction City. 2-point try to come. And I tell you what, we talked with Coach Meeks before the game, talked about what we needed to see out of this Dragon offense. I mean, they've had 2 touchdowns called back, but they still managed to score on both of those drives.
We're winning the line of scrimmage, Jacob, big time. I mean, we're just winning up front, and you can do what you want when that's happening.
And so far, that's been the case. Junction City having their way. Gibson gets the call. They've run the same play 3 times on the 2-point try. It's been successful 3 times on the 2-point try. Timeout on the field, 3:15 to play. 24-0 is our score. The Dragons on top of the Eagles. We'll be back with some more quarterfinal round action on the Dragon Sports Network. Back in 60. Welcome back to Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. 24-0 is our scores. The Jack Smith kickoff will be fielded at about the 25-yard line. And ball carrier with a lot of running room up across the 40. It'll be good field position here for the DesArc Eagles.
Jacob, 24-0, it makes you wonder if DesArc's going to start trying to throw the ball way more than they normally do in a game and try to get caught back up. You never know on the road. You know, what else do you have to lose? This is your season on the line right here. We'll see if they try to put it in the air some.
You're right, because, I mean, you look at what Mountainburg did last week. They kind of just stayed with their offensive approach, and it did not get any better for those Northwest Arkansas Dragons. We'll head over to the scoreboard for an update here. In fact, it'll be one Dragon fans will definitely want to keep an eye on throughout the night. We'll keep you up to date with it as the night develops. 1st and 10 for the Eagles. And they're going to throw after the fake. Actually, he's going to have to keep it, and he's got a lot of real estate. picks up a first down across midfield at the 47-yard line.
Looked like they were trying to throw it off the option, Jacob. The kid had good vision to this side of the field, saw no one was spying on him, and he took off and got all he could out of it. Good play by him.
Goodman on the 12-yard carry. It'll bring up 1st and 10 for DesArc at the Junction City 47. Again, they'll keep it in tight wing T formation. Slot back thought about going in deep motion. Again, resets. That's McCoy. And this time they'll motion him out. They'll give to the fullback. Actually, they're going to keep it. Faked me out. He's still on his feet. Runs into his own man. Still on his feet. Nice running right there from Goodman. He's been their offense so far tonight, and he's got the Eagles at their best field position of the evening.
Tell you what, Jacob, I'd keep running that option and throw off of it if I had to, try to get back in this ball game. So far, he is their offense.
A 20-yard rush right there from Garrett Goodman, the senior quarterback, and he's got the offense back to the line of scrimmage. This time they give to the fullback. And he'll trudge forward for
you never know how they're
2 yards.
You never know how they're engineering this option game, Jacob. Sometimes the fullback is truly a part of that. Sometimes some teams just sort of do that as window dressing. They never really intend the fullback to play it a lot. It's usually quarterback and halfback kind of thing. I don't know if they really do the fullback, do hand it to the fullback a lot, but we'll see. They did
and
right
they
there.
Get right up the middle, untouched to the house.
Untouched.
25 yards for the score.
As soon as I say it.
Jacob Moody from 25 yards out, and the Eagles have some life offensively as they find the end zone for the first time tonight. Cuts the deficit to 18, 24-6 with 1:50 to play here in the first quarter. And I tell you what, that was a well-designed play. They just gave it to him right up the middle, right in between center and the right guard.
And give DesArc credit. I mean, they have this entire option thing they're working on. They can throw out of it. The quarterback can keep out of it, and they do have their fullback involved now. So, you know, it's what it's designed to do.
Coach Meeks and I, back in our playing days, we made a living running the old trap plays, and that's just what the Eagles did. Is they're going to pitch it here on the two-point try. Lunges for the goal. I don't think he got there. A host of Dragons on the stop.
Judge agrees.
Javassier Cook, Jakyron Cook. Livingston, a host of Dragons in on the stop. Timeout on the field. Two-point try, no good, but the Eagles do find the end zone. 24-6 is our score. We'll be back in 30. This is Junction City Football on the Dragon Sports Network. Just under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. It's been an exciting first 12 minutes of action here in the border town. Jacob Pumphrey alongside Sean Enos, the Dragon Sports Network. For those of you listening on 101.5 The Hog, we thank you for tuning in tonight. Quarterfinal round of the Class 2A state playoffs. Winner of this one advances to the semifinals. Onside kick, and it is going to go out of bounds, and the Dragons will have a pretty good field position here.
Jacob, we've had fireworks tonight, you know, really and on the field.
Yes, we have.
DesArc showing that option game, trying to claw back into this thing, and Junction's had some gifts given to them and some great field position that they've taken advantage of. And they've thrown a new wrinkle into their offense, at least one that we've all been up here talking about. So they saved a few things for the postseason, it looks like.
And you mentioned before that scoring drive from the Eagles, kind of what would they do? Would they try to, you know, change up what got them here in order to try to claw back into the game, or would they stay with their offense? And they did, and it paid dividends for them as they found the scoreboard.
It did. It all flows through their quarterback, it looks like.
1st and 10 for Junction City. They give to Cook. He'll work off the left
Nobody
side. Shot
there.
out of a cannon. Nobody's going to touch him. 15, 10, 5, pay dirt. And there it is.
Another one of those drives that lasts under 60 seconds.
Well, that one lasted under 10. 9-second drive for Junction City. One-play drive. And Cook from 49 yards out, and it's 30-6, Junction City.
Jacob, you could see it from here. The minute the kid got the handoff, that you could see it coming. There was nobody where they needed to be on that one. That was That's just video game football there. I mean, there was just nobody in position to make that play for DesArc.
Dragons spaced them out to the left. Cook went left. Just had to make maybe one or two moves back right, and he was going to the house.
The thing about that too, Jacob, is that's just so demoralizing for a defense. Your offense just sort of clawed back into the game a little bit for you. You come back out, you kick the ball off, and the first time they touch the ball, they do that.
And they give to Cook.
That looked like he got in.
And he gets in as well. Timeout on the field. 9 seconds is all it took for Junction City to answer, and they lead it 32-6 with 1:41 to play in the opening quarter. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. We'll be back in 60. Jack Smith's kickoff again, a line drive. Fielded at about the 23-yard line. Several Dragons there, still on his feet. And that was Morton on the return.
Jacob, you're in the quarterfinals of the state playoff. You're on the road, a long trip. One of your players has already been hurt, who was one of your better weapons, and you're down 32-6. What are you going to do? You got to throw the ball right now. You've got to throw the ball and try to make some, or at least run some trick plays. You've got to, as much as we were just bragging about them scoring with their base offense, then they come out here and give up a touchdown on the first play. So now you've got to go back into your trick plays, try to make something happen that way before the half. But, I mean, you just don't have time to grind it out from this point.
You really don't. 38 combined first quarter points, 32 belong to the Dragons. As DesArc breaks the huddle, they're going to have 4 linemen to the left of the center. Busted play in the backfield, nowhere to go. And 5 or 6 Dragons in on the stop. I tell you what, they have been swarming to the football so far tonight.
If I had trick plays based off the option and I was DesArc, I think that's what I would try to go to, start mixing that kind of stuff in. I mean, we're a minute left in the first quarter, right? First quarter. This has been a long first quarter.
Yes, it has. 32-6 is our score for those of you just joining us on Ustream and 101.5 The Hog. We thank you for tuning in. Quarterfinal round of the Class 2A state playoffs. Jacob Humphrey alongside Sean Enos, and it's been all Junction City so far. And we're going to have a timeout. DesArc, we'll step aside with them. We'll be back in 30 seconds. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. Welcome back. Just about a full moon, foggy field, just about anything you can ask for in a quarterfinal matchup. The 16th time Junction City is tangled in a little post-Turkey Day football, and it's going all the way it wants to go for Junction City. They lead at 32-6 with 51 seconds to play, not in the first half, but in the first quarter. As DesArc comes off the sideline from the timeout, they'll face a 2nd down and 9 from the 31. And we'll step over to the scoreboard here to give you a couple updates on a couple of 2A games here in a moment. And
let's see what they come up with. They've had time to talk about it now, Jacob.
And they'll break it, one back in the backfield, slot back to either side. And they'll send the guy in motion, and they give over the right side. And it's going to be a pretty good gain. He's going to be around the first down marker.
Well, they're determined to stick with the option, so like I said, we'll see if they come up with something tricky or some kind of pass play off of it.
And Morton was the ball carrier there.
Another thing about the option, Jacob, the wide side of the field comes into play a lot of times. We'll see if they'll bring something back to this side
Third
now.
and about a foot, and they give to Morton. He runs over a man, picks up the first down as he rolls across the 45-yard line.
Now that looks like your kid that's 135 or 40 pounds right there, Jacob.
And so that'll reset the chains for the Eagles. They find themselves with a big deficit here with 15 seconds to play in the first quarter. Probably going to be the last play of the opening 12 minutes. It's been a busy one for the Dragon offense. Morton gets the carry, hit in the backfield, stumbles forward, a minimal gain, and that'll do it for the first quarter of action. Timeout on the field. 32-6 is our score. Junction City on top of DesArc. We'll step aside for 60 seconds, and we'll be back with some more Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. LG Farm and Timber, Kevin Norris Memorial, Southern T-Shirt Company, Kim's Hair Salon, Junction City Florist, Hog Wild Pest Control, Red Roof Barbecue, Russell Cellular, First Baptist Church Junction City, and the JCHS Marching Band Band Boosters, more the fine sponsor of the Dragon Sports Network, allowing us to bring you this quarterfinal matchup as Junction City has a 32-6 lead over DesArc as we start the second quarter. And Goodman's going to keep. I tell you what, he's running hard tonight. There's still a lot of fight left in that young man as he gets up to midfield. Going to be a gain of about 5. Bring up a second down and 5 from the midfield stripe.
Yep, running the ball to the short side of the field makes it a little easier for Junction City to bottle all that business up. So we'll see if they start, like I said earlier, try to use the wide side a little bit more. But with Junction speed, maybe they just don't know what to try at this point.
Third down and 5 for the Eagles. Goodman scans the Dragon defense. Deep man in motion. They'll give to the fullback. And nowhere to go. Samaje Livingston, big Cody Adkins. Who else is that on the far side? Tanner Barnett. That'll bring up a 4th down and 5. And, Sean, I mean, you got to think you're at midfield. You got to go for it. I mean, you're trailing by 26.
I thought the quarterback just jogged off. No, he jogged over to get a play. Okay, there's no way they're punting is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, at this point.
I thought he was leaving the field. He just went to get the play because he can't see hand signals.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got to throw the ball here. You got to do. I mean, you can't just hand it off up the middle this time either, I don't think, but we'll see.
4th down and 5 after the no gain.
Inside.
And they'll give back across the formation. Nowhere to go. It was busted up in the middle. And Kyle Kidwell, Cody Atkins put their blockers back into the formation, and then Livingston was there to clean things up.
Junction City just disrupted that from the get-go all over the defensive line. They just stood their ground, and it just nowhere to run the ball on that one.
Coach Meek said the matchup to watch would be in the interior, and that's been definitely the key for Junction City so far tonight. Both sides of the football, they've owned the trenches as Hutchinson and his offense is back for another drive as they got it at midfield. They give to Gibson, and actually Gibson's going to keep it. He faked it to Haynes, so kind of the same play that they called that it was called back on the big penalty. It'll be a gain of about 4.
Something else to put on tape for other teams to worry about. They've run it successfully. They've now faked it. That gives you a lot of options going forward.
Carry of about 4 yards for Gibson. He's wearing number 7 tonight. Hutchinson looks to the sideline, gets the call from Coach Jones. Easier to see from this side than it is to the other side. east side of the field as Hutchison rolls out to his left, going to throw pass. Is intercepted at the 30-yard line, and that's the only mistake so far for Junction City offensively tonight. He was trying to hook up, I believe that was Cook, trying to hook up with Cook, and a little bit, maybe too much air under that throw, and it resulted in interception.
Yeah, it's either throwing the ball too late for what's going on down the field, or you throw that from the angle we have, the receiver is heading towards the sideline. You got to throw that ball to where either your guy gets it or it goes out of bounds.
Or nobody gets it. Exactly.
And you can't throw it that late on that particular route anyway. It's just too much air for the other guys to react to it and come back for the ball. But, you're winning 32-6. You feel like you're kind of splitting hairs talking about something like that. But, if you're going to work on your passing game a little, that's a mistake. But he'll learn from it.
First play, Goodman's going to keep it. He's going to have a lot of real estate. He's at the 50 across midfield, brought down just shy of the 45-yard line. I believe they're going to mark him officially down at the 47, so a big-time play right there. 23 yards from Goodman. He's been their offense so far tonight.
Yeah, that's the guy that's taken a lot of hits tonight. Who knows, earlier in the night when he's a little more fresh-legged, he might score on that one.
And they give to the fullback. That's Morton. He's still on his feet. And I tell you what, credit DesArc. They are staying with their offense.
They're fighting hard.
And they're down inside the 35 to the 34. And 2 plays just like that, the Eagles showing a little more life offensively.
Now, Jacob, the interesting thing about where the ball's spotted, if you've got to throw the ball a little bit, you don't want to throw it on that other hash mark over there. You want to throw it on this side of the field based on how the mud looks right now. I'm not sure I wouldn't roll to this side and throw one down the field right here.
Dragon defense playing on their toes just a little bit. They give to Morton. He's wrapped up from behind. Kyle Kidwell got there first. It'll be a minimal gain. I don't think he got a yard. Maybe a yard they'll give him.
Now you're back over there in the muddiest part of the field. Your backs are absolutely going to be in the muddiest part of the field on that end. So, I don't know. That may limit you a little bit.
Under 9 minutes to play, first half action. Junction City 32, DesArc 6. As we'll step over to the scoreboard here when we get a chance. As they give to the fullback. Livingston there in on the stop. Still on his feet. Pyle starting to push. Finally get whistles. It's either been Morton or Goodman. Just about an even dose of each for the Eagle offense. And that'll bring them down for a manageable third down here inside Junction City territory. I believe they're going to mark it at the 27-yard line.
Jacob, that reminds me of the old Bill Parcells clip on the NFL Films where he goes over to the bench and tells his guys, that's why you lift those weights all summer. That right there was just effort. That was just guys pushing the pile there.
And they're going to push the pile forward on the quarterback sneak. And he's going to have the first down and a little bit more as he moves down inside the red zone. Wow.
Same discussion. That's just effort right there. That's just putting your head down and churning away. And with not great footing, I might add, on that side of the field.
3rd and 4, he needed 5. I believe he's going to get 9. And players on the field, Goodman on the bottom of the pile, finally helped up by a teammate.
Look at that young man's uniform so far, Jacob. You can tell he's getting all the action for them because of his uniform.
For sure, him and Morton. We're almost starting to lose sight of.
They're looking like Robin Williams in the best of times right now.
For sure, and they give on the fly motion, and really nothing going. Junction City sniffed that one out. That was Moody on the carry. He moved across the formation, took the handoff from Goodman.
Yeah, Jacob, it's tough to run to the sidelines on Junction City because of our speed. But yet again, we're kind of being critical of them for going up the middle so many times tonight. But, they've had enough success with it. They feel obligated to do it as much as they can because they can't get much wide on us. And once again, up the middle they can.
And up the middle, nowhere going on 2nd down and 11. May have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage. Not sure. They're going to mark him at the 19-yard line. As we're nearing the 7-minute mark here in the first half. While we've got a chance, we'll step over to the scoreboard. We'll give you a couple of scoring updates. Foreman 12, Earl 8. The winner of that one gets the winner of this one. If Earl can pull it out, knock off the state's #1 team in the Gators, they'll come down to the border town next week. If not, if Foreman prevails, Junction City, if they hold on here, will advance to the semifinals and play Foreman. Ball's in the air. Samaje Livingston was the first one to come up with it, and I believe he's going to come off the field with it.
Yep.
And so a promising drive from the Eagles results in a turnover. The second time they've put it on the turf tonight, and it results in Junction City coming away with the football here with 6:42 to play in the first half. 32-6 is our score. Wow, I tell you what, that's as demoralizing as it was for them to score and Junction City to score on the very next offensive play. That's got to hurt even more.
You just used a huge chunk of time. You're slowly working your way down the field. Even though you need a lot of points in a hurry, you're walking it down the field slowly but surely, and then that happens. That's as demoralizing as what happened earlier. Absolutely, I agree.
And another score update for you. Fellow 8-2A foe Hampton, they're trailing Hazen 14-7. And Junction City will call a timeout. They'll talk things over. We'll step aside with them. 6:42 to play. First half action. Junction City 32, DesArc 6. This is Dragon football on the Dragon Sports Network. We'll be back in 60. .642 to play. Welcome back to the border town. Dragons will keep it on the ground here on 1st and 10 following the turnover. Samaje Livingston coming away with the loose football. Promising drive for the Eagles as they turn it over for the second time tonight. And I know we're just about midway through the second quarter of action, but you got to think time's running out for DesArc.
Absolutely.
32
you got to force a fumble.
Score.
You got to hope you can force a fumble or something here. They're going to be punching the ball out as best they can, that kind of stuff, to try to get back in the game. But when they get it back, they need to throw it.
Hutchinson out of the pistol, throws a spot pass to Cook. He's going to work toward the outside, in and out of an arm tackle, still on his feet, and they're going to blow the play dead as he's down to the up to the 37-yard line.
Once again, that's a great thing for a quarterback to be able to throw the ball up the field no farther than that and get those kind of gains out of it. That's just taking advantage of your talent. Minimal mistakes can be made on a play like that, and it's just something that I've seen Junction do more and more of this year.
And they'll give to Gibson. He'll work over a block. He's across midfield. Reverse if you go. Gets a big block from Haynes. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. One man to beat. He won't catch him. Touchdown, Junction City. And a late flag.
It may come back, but you could see it 40 yards before it happened, Jacob. There was just not enough out here to catch him.
Big block from Haynes. That's what sprung him. And a 63-yard touchdown run from Dante Gibson.
Was that called by one of the referees all the way across the field?
I'm not sure. They're saying there's two flags on the field, but I'm still looking for the second one, which we've been searching for a lot out there tonight with the way the conditions are.
I still can't see the visiting bleachers very well.
For those of you joining us on Ustream, you definitely know the case. I don't know if we've been able to explain it well enough for the radio listeners. It's going to be a holding on Junction City. And so they're going to replay the down after the offsetting penalties. And I tell you what, that is the third touchdown tonight that's been called back, but not just the third touchdown, the third one of 50 or more yards that has been called back tonight. And you look at the scoreboard, and it's all Junction City. So, I mean, the offense really that's really been the only negative for Junction City. The previous two drives in which they've had a big scoring play called back, they ended up finding the end zone anyway. So we'll see if they're able to complete the trifecta. Yeah,
what a weird.
Indeed.
I mean, the setting is one thing, but these long plays being called back.
And they give to Gibson. That's the same play, still on his feet, bouncing around outside. And it's going to take several Eagles to bring him down as he picks up about 8 yards. And
we have another penalty.
There's another flag on the play. the head official.
You know, Jacob, against McCrory, for example, a couple of weeks ago, Gary and I talked about how you get a big win, but Coach Jones can still go into that field house afterwards and say, guys, we left a lot of yards and a lot of points out there on that football field. You don't want to have big wins that don't leave some sort of some new goal to achieve, and you can always talk about fewer turnovers. You can always talk about fewer penalties, and you know, even in the big win against McCrory and here tonight, we're leaving yards on the field, turnovers, penalties. I mean, there's so much you can talk about going forward to keep your team on edge.
And they'll definitely have a lot to talk about here in this first half. Despite leading by 26, they've had 3 long touchdowns called back. Hutchinson gonna air it out. He's got Haynes. Oh, in and out of his hands. He had to adjust his body in midair, unable to haul it in. Great effort right there by Cavante. And there's a flag on the play again.
Great effort by Junction's receiver, but you know, that was pretty good coverage. The kid's with him step for step.
That was good coverage.
He's out there on an island. He could have easily lost him in this footing especially.
I believe that's number 4, Caden Fields.
That's good coverage by
senior
Fields.
quarterback. He's got some height on him. They say I haven't marked at 6 foot. Looks like he might be a little bit taller than that.
Did a great job. Now, by the way, Hutchinson had to throw that ball a long ways.
Yes, he did.
That was a long throw.
And the penalty is on Junction City. So if it was on Junction City, the Eagles decline it.
1st and 25.
1st and 25 from the 23. And now they're going to.
Little conference.
Well, he initially said that it was on Junction City and
did.
it was declined, but yet they still backed the football up. Here with 5:08 to play, first half action, Junction City 32, DesArc 6. As our PA announcer, Mr. Bubba Gurley, tries to let the officials in on the fact that if it's declined, it'll bring up 2nd down and 20 from the 27, maybe 28-yard line, as they're still discussing things.
So you're saying we had an editorial comment from the PA?
To say the least, yes. As they're and so they're going to pick up the football. And they're going to move it. They're going to move it from the 23-yard line along the right hash to the 27-yard line along the left hash, more so near the middle of the field. And we apologize for the dead air time, folks. We're trying to figure out what's going on. I tell you what, if you've watched Class 2A football for any length of time, whether it's on the Dragon Sports Network, in a stadium near you, wherever, you're going to see something new every week when it comes to officiating.
You said it, Jacob. I was thinking it, but you said it.
And hopefully they've got it settled. It was at the 23. They moved it to the 27. They also changed hashes in the process. Now it's back to the 23 along the far hash. That's where Junction City's got it.
And after the 3rd conference, we think we've got it figured out.
1st down in the city limit sign for the Dragons. Ball at about the 23-yard line. 5:08 to play, first half action. It's going to be a direct keep from Hutchinson. He tries to jump over a man. He's grabbed out of the air and brought down. Minimal gain. As we're under 5 to play here in the first half. Wow. We've seen just about everything tonight, haven't we?
I'm trying to think of something to say. I mean,
I'm trying to think what hadn't happened.
I know. It's been a really strange night of high school football, and we're 4 minutes from the half still.
4:40, 4:39, 4:38, clock ticking. They move Haynes from right to left. He'll make a twins formation with Cook. Hutchinson looks to the sideline, gets the play. Takes the snap. They're going to give to Gibson. He'll plow ahead over a block, still on his feet, lunges forward.
And we're almost back to the original line of scrimmage.
And so that should take us down near the 4-minute mark. And that'll bring up a 3rd down. It'll stay long as the ball is at the 34-yard line of Junction City. At the middle of the field, that's a portion of the field that has been really beat on so far tonight.
It has. It's interesting
And
footing
they
out
give
there.
to
Reverse
Gibson.
again.
He'll throw the reverse pitch back to Haynes. He's got some running room. Gets a block from his quarterback across midfield. Another block from Cook.
He's gone.
There ain't nobody going to catch him, folks. 10-5, touchdown, Junction City.
No flags.
And
no
no
flags.
laundry on the field. And on 3rd and 13, after being faced with a 1st and 25, the Dragons punch it in from 67 yards out. He had a 63-yarder called back, but Haynes punches it in with a 67-yarder. And it is 38-6 with 3:46 to play here in the first half.
Jacob, we've run that some variation of that reverse 4 times tonight at least, and I just think it gives you something to build on for later games to throw it, run it to different sides to get different people involved.
And the Dragons break the huddle. This will give them, if they can punch it in, a 34-point advantage. And they give to Cook, 2-point try, still on his feet, plowing ahead. I tell you what, talk about lifting weights. That young man's been pushing the bar up and down, showing that upper body strength, plowing it in. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside with them. Junction City 40, DesArc 6. Class 2A state quarterfinals. We're back in 60 with more Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. We're back live, Paul H. Muse Field at David Carpenter Stadium. As Jack Smith, for the umpteenth time tonight, kicks one off. Ball hits the turf,
again.
and it's mishandled. Finally picked up at the 30. And the ball carrier moves up across the 35, about a return of 7 yards. Almost ended up in a change of possession. But the Eagles will have it. Pretty good field position, 37-yard line, moving left to right here with 3:41 to play here in the first half. 40-6 is our score. Junction City on top of DesArc, the 4th meeting all time between these two schools. And I tell you what, the last 3 have been memorable in one aspect or another, as these two teams have met twice in the state championship game in the past 10 years. And also in 2014, they met in the quarterfinals here in the border town that saw Junction City take down the Eagles as they marched to their 3rd straight state title.
Here you're looking at some passing game opportunities here because they don't have any options.
And they're going to have to call a timeout to talk things over, so it may be something they're unused to doing. So we'll take a timeout with them. We'll be back in 30 seconds. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. We'll step on over to the scoreboard for a couple of updates. Just up north, across the old county seat of El Dorado, Smackover 14, Osceola 14. Buckaroos looking to punch their ticket to the semifinals. Conway Christian 28, Mount Ida 28. I believe that one's at the half. Is that right, Coach Meeks? 28-28, Conway Christian and Mount Ida. That's the Hootens.com game of the week. The winner of that one gets the winner of Hazen and Hampton as the Hornets are on top of the Bulldogs. Those Canines from Calhoun County, 22-7. And obviously Junction City on top as DesArc's going to throw, and I believe that ball might have been tipped out of the air by Jakyron Cook. And that'll be just the 2nd pass thrown all night by the Eagles, and it falls on the turf as well.
DesArc came out before the timeout with trips to the left, and something about that they didn't like the way we reacted to it. Call timeout, they come back and they throw the ball anyway. So we'll see what kind of formations they run and for the passing game that they're going to have to trot out for the rest of the half and probably the rest of the game. This may be more passes than this young man's ever thrown tonight if this keeps going this way.
They've been known to use the passing attack some, but probably not in situations like the one they're faced with tonight, as nowhere going there on the pitch to the left.
Yeah.
Jacalvin Cook, the first man on the stop, and he is brought down behind the line of scrimmage. That might have been Moody. I believe the Dragons called a timeout. They're going to try to get the football back here before we head to the intermission. 3:18 to play. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. Junction City football on the Dragons Sports Network. You're looking live at Paul H. Muse Field. We're back after the timeout, 3:18 to play. DesArc faced with a 3rd down and 12 from their own 35-yard line. Dragons called a timeout. They're looking to try to get the football back. Goodwin going to throw. He throws it underhand. He's got a man. That's going to be Morton. He's still on his feet. 35-40. Tries to stop, and he is brought down by Javasi Cook. Could not stop on a dime. Based on the field conditions, slipped down. Cook was able to corral him.
Quite an inventive pass there by the quarterback. Was that his throwing arm that he did that with? I couldn't tell.
I don't think that was his throwing
And
arm. I think he had to
it.
get it away from. I think that might have been Samaje Livingston. He kind of just had to flip it to him, and I believe there is a flag on the play.
Oh, laundry on the field.
3 officials meeting at about the 37-yard line.
That's a surprise after a big play tonight.
Far side of the field. 3:07 to play, first half action. Junction City 40, DesArc 6. And it's going to be a personal foul. And it's going to be on Junction City.
Are they going to say we were too rough on the quarterback? Because he kind of, it was almost a flip body slam kind of move on the quarterback back here after he threw the ball. Maybe he had him by the face mask when he threw him down. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I was following the pitch, because it was a good play there by. I believe that was McCoy. I said Morton. I believe it was McCoy. It's hard to tell with the jersey numbers in the mud. It's starting to lose sight. On add in the fog, and that just makes everything difficult to see.
Hey, that's my excuse. You don't get to use that one.
So I got to think of another one.
Well, I'll give you the fog tonight.
Okay. It's good enough for two excuses. Okay, good deal. So the penalty will put the football at the 50-yard line for the Eagles. They'll send McCoy in motion. They'll give to Morton, the fullback. He'll pick up about 7 yards as there's another flag thrown in from the back judge. As the clock stops with 3 minutes, and they're going to call a face mask, I believe, on Junction City.
That'll be 15 added to the action. That young man, number 8, what's his name, Jacob? He's played a tough game tonight.
Jackson Morton, yes. He's been, you can look at his, he's got a gray jersey down there compared to some of the white ones.
Yep.
Between him and Goodman.
He is almost to the Robin Williams-Taft uniform.
They called a face mask penalty. It really could have been a horse collar because he didn't grab him by the face mask. But regardless, 15 yards, new set of downs. And so far, Junction City giving DesArc their offense here on this drive with 2:45 to play in the first half. And they give to Morton. He's going to try to get the right side, lowers his shoulder. Tell you what, there's a lot of fight left in that young man as he moves down inside the red zone.
I agree, Jacob. I mean, there's every reason in the world a lot of people would think right now to not play as hard, but DesArc they're doing their best and that young man especially. He's still running over people behind 40-6, lowering his shoulder and running over people. What class is he in, by the way? Can you tell?
Morton is a junior, so
Junior.
he'll definitely be back
This
next
is a man
year.
coming back next year, making the most out of his opportunities.
1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. And they give to Morton again. Slow read. Spins off of a tackler, still on his feet.
What
Livingston
balance.
wraps him up.
Great balance.
Especially on the way the turf is tonight, as they pick up about 4 yards.
You know, Jacob, we'll never know, but what kind of impact maybe losing number 11 has had on them tonight. You know, he can't, you know, doesn't really amount to much on as far as Junction City scoring touchdowns, but maybe on their offense it really has hurt them more than we realize.
Yeah, Cooper Roberts listed as a running back, probably just kind of one of those all-around kind of guys, slot back, running back. They'll probably put him out wide.
And he has not been back
yeah,
that I can tell since the injury.
I haven't seen him back either. A little trickeration. One man stayed home. He won't be able to bring him down. Still on his feet. Cook's going to corral him, and he'll sling him to the turf.
Jacob, that's just speed. That's just speed. Cook's out there. There's nowhere for the running back to go. He's got a chance with one move to cut inside or cut out, and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, and there won't be much cutting on this surface tonight either. And he just tried, like you said, he just tried to race him to the corner, you know. And
Jacob, I heard an interesting term in reference to an NFL linebacker the other day called his tackling radius. I haven't heard that a whole lot over the years, but tackling radius, meaning a long, rangy type with long arms that is even harder to juke than your normal player. And that time, that was a pretty good tackling radius by Cook on that one.
Under a minute to play. Goodman going to throw here on 3rd and 10, and he's wrapped up out of the tackle, and he'll be brought down at about the 20-yard line.
And here's what I don't understand, Jacob. DesArc's quarterback's left-handed, and he's rolling against his throwing shoulder to our side of the field, and he's being chased the whole time. He doesn't have a chance to swivel his hips, get his shoulders turned, make the pass to this side of the field. I would think if they were going to throw the ball into some tight spaces, they'd be going to the other side of the field. So he's got his throwing hand going towards the sideline.
That's exactly right.
That's hard for a quarterback at any level to do, and you're asking him to do it out here tonight under these circumstances.
They're going to have to hurry. They're not going to get it off.
They're
not going to get a playoff before the half, and that'll do it. 2 quarters in the books here at the Muse. Junction City 40, DesArc 6. We're going to step aside for 60 seconds, and when we come back, you'll hear the sound of the border town, the Mighty Dragon Marching Band, back here on the Dragon Sports Network. We'll be back in 60. Welcome back to the border town. Halftime just beginning. It was all Junction City in the first half. Just one touchdown for the DesArc Eagles. They entered averaging 333 yards rushing. And credit the Dragon defense, forcing 2 turnovers. Both resulted in touchdowns as they have built a 40-6 lead here in the Class 2A state quarterfinals. The winner of this one gets the winner of Foreman and Earl. And Coach Meeks, as you join us here for the Union Kennel and Farm Supply halftime show, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Earl 14, Foreman 12 at the break over there in Gator Country.
Yes, sir. That's what it was. Like I said, we rooting for Earl tonight. The only time I want to root for him.
I hear you. If Earl's able to pull it off, knock out the top-ranked team in the state, then Earl would come down here if Junction City holds on to this lead. And then the other 2 quarterfinal matchups, Hazen was on top of Hampton. That was a 2-touchdown game. And then Mount Ida and Conway Christian, the Hootens.com game of the week. They're at a barn burner going on down there, 28 all at the break. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside for a minute. We'll keep it here as we're going to be hearing from the sound of the border town, the Junction City High School Marching Band.
The Junction City Dragons Band with their show Dragones en Fuego featuring Malagueña, Obama, and Evil Ways. Drum major, is your band ready? The field is yours.
Just under 9.5 minutes until the second half starts here in the border town. You just got through listening to the great sounds from the sound of the border town, the Mighty Dragon Marching Band. And 40-6 is our score. Junction City with 264 yards of total offense tonight. And I tell you what, Sean, I mean, when you look at what Junction City's been able to do offensively, I mean, you know what, you don't want to nitpick, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, the game could almost be even more out of hand than it is right now.
Most definitely. And in a way, I know it sounds silly, but in a way, Jacob, I think it's kind of a good thing. If you take care of business tonight, you got a coach that can still walk in and tell you what you need to work on, keep an edge on the team and say, you know, in spite of all the points we scored, we could do things better. Because you and I both know, everybody listening knows, turnovers are horrible in the playoffs or any other football game, especially this time of year. Penalties are horrible this time of year. I mean, just all the stuff we've done wrong tonight, you don't want to do this stuff in the playoffs, and it's the kind of stuff that gets you sent home. So I know Coach Jones can go in there and talk about that very easily, about how much was left on the field in the first half at least. We'll see if they clean their act up the second half. Hopefully we don't have so many penalties in the second half. But, yeah, there's stuff he can go in and talk to them about, absolutely, right now and after the game.
And I think that'll be a goal for Junction City coming out of the break. They were trying to get to that all-important 35-point advantage there to get the nonstop clock in the second half. So definitely with Junction City receiving the second half kickoff,
Yeah.
you got to expect them to come out, guns a-blazing, so to speak,
Absolutely.
trying to go ahead and punch it in and get that clock rolling
What do you,
to advance.
let me ask you this, Jacob. What do you tell your team if you're DesArc's coach right now at the half?
That's a good question. I fortunately, I can't ever think I was ever faced with a situation like that to where you are down by a pretty big deficit, especially in the quarterfinals, and you're looking into the eyes of seniors who many of them may be playing their last 2 quarters of football.
Correct.
Here. But I think it's one of the things you got to play for pride. You got to go out here and you got to represent the school. You got to represent your teammates, your coaches, and the guys that did it before you. The guys
Absolutely.
that have played before you, that given you the opportunity to play here tonight. So I think it might not end up in the Eagles' favor tonight, but there's still a lot to play for, especially on the pride side. You want to come out here and keep playing hard. Keep doing things the right way.
Absolutely. I think if you're you can talk to your juniors and sophomores about building for next year, making a good showing at the end of this season. I heard Dan Hampton on the radio this week in Little Rock, and he was talking about how you don't need talent to play hard. You don't need talent to do all your assignments correctly. You don't need talent to be tenacious. You don't need talent to do a lot of different things. It doesn't matter about the talent. A lot of other intangibles are important that are effort-based. They're assignment correction-based, those kinds of things. So I think DesArc's coach empties the playbook. You just throw the ball, you run trick plays, whatever you need. Try to talk your guys into, hey, punch the ball out when you get your hands on the running back, that kind of thing. And, yeah, you play for pride. I mean, you go out there and you give effort as best you can regardless.
Yeah, I think you've got to. You got to go out here and just empty out the playbook. I mean, if you got to draw something up, there's plenty of ways to draw up over there. As much as the ground is turned up, you got to draw something up over there. Draw something up. See what can happen. You never know. You come out here, you get a stop, you get a score, you get a turnover, you get a score. It starts kind of, opening the game back up.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen.
Well, the thing is, their quarterback's a talented enough individual that I think he could make something happen if he had time to get back there, maybe scramble around a little and find a guy. He showed us plenty of arm on the first pass that he threw tonight. He zipped one over the middle with his back leg pointing back towards the south goalpost back there. So I think the young man can throw the ball, and we may see a lot more of it. I mean, why not? It's like taking timeouts. Leaving them on the clock after a game, in a close game. It's like, why, you do all of that stuff.
Exactly.
You talk about things, you empty the playbook, trick plays, pass plays, and try to do something out here.
Just under 5 minutes until the second half starts. We're going to step aside for 3 minutes, but we'll be coming right back. You'll want to catch the second half action. Junction City and DesArc, Class 2A state quarterfinals. We'll be back in 3 minutes. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network.
Game are members of the Arkansas Activities Association as authorized by their school boards. The administrators of these schools have helped to write the rules and regulations that govern participation of students in competitive activities for the school that are members of the AAA. The Arkansas Activities Association, which is sponsoring this football playoff game, is a voluntary, nonprofit educational association of some 500 junior and senior public and private high schools of Arkansas. The regulations which guide these events are adopted by the schools themselves and determine the type of program they believe to be the most desirable of the high school youth. The Arkansas Activities Association is one of 50 state organizations that belong to the National Federation of State High School Associations. This association formulates policies, game rules, and standards for inter-school competition. The schools of Arkansas have adopted these rules on eligibility, which correspond with those recommended by the National Federation. The schools participate.
Just under 2 minutes until kickoff for the third quarter here in the border town. Jacob Humphrey alongside Sean Enos, the Dragon Sports Network, atop the Emerson Brewer press box here at Paul H. Muse Field. 40-6 is our score. Junction City all over DesArc, the 2 seed out of the 6-2A. And I tell you what, as we talked about, the Dragon offense has been overly impressive so far tonight. I mean, there has been some things, especially in that second quarter, Sean, that Coach Jones will like to clean up. Some holding penalties that negated some big scoring plays, although all the scoring plays that were negated, Junction City ends up scoring on those drives. But still, it's the things it's the little things that matter in the playoffs. They're magnified when you get to this point in the season.
Absolutely. I mean, we know how last year is a great example how badly we played in that final game of the season. Turnovers, all the stuff that we uncharacteristically did. So you don't want to make a habit out of any of this. You want to try to get this cleaned up. And sometimes it can lull a team into, I don't want to say laziness, but sort of complacency because, we still beat a team by X many points and we had all those penalties. But, Coach won't let them get away with that. Coach Jones will talk to them about that and try to clean this whole thing up.
And before we begin the second half kickoff, Junction City will have the football to start the third quarter. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Jones. This is his 26th game as the head man along the sidelines for the Dragons. Again, started last year in his first year. Dragons ran all the way to the Class 3A state finals, finished runner-up to Rivercrest, which is now still competing in Class 4A.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you what type of team they went up against in the Colts last year. But as Junction City's head coach, he is 22-3. And with another score, we'll have a nonstop clock, and he'll be headed to being 23-3. But at the Muse, has not lost a home game in the regular season or the playoffs. So they are definitely defending the Muse, as many like to say. And we're just moments away from kickoff here in the third quarter. Looks like it's going to be an onside kick from the Eagles. They're going to switch sides.
Jacob, if I'm DesArc, I onside kick everything the rest of the night that I can. Just give yourself a chance to get the ball around midfield. Speaking of Coach Jones, Jacob, you got to be impressed with how Junction City had as much talent as they did last year. I know it didn't end on a good note. They had a statistically phenomenal season on offense especially. They come back this year, and it's very rocky early in the season, and you got to credit a coach who's willing to make changes when things aren't going exactly the way he wants them to, or the fans or the team even. And I don't know the particulars on what all of them were, but I know things changed on defense. I know some personnel changes were made, and I know there's the best athletes he can get are on the field.
And the onside kick is recovered by Junction City.
You got to do that if you're DesArc. Why not? Try to increase how many possessions you'll get.
And Gabe Richard, sophomore backup quarterback, comes up with the football, and Junction City will have it. They're leading 40-6. That's a 34-point advantage for Junction City. They're looking to try to get the nonstop clock running.
Jacob, just magically the fog lifts right as we get ready to kick that off, and we can actually see the sideline.
We can actually see the far sideline, and a lot of folks, a lot of Eagle fans in the stands along those far bleachers.
I'm looking at the video feed, and they can see it on there as well. So,
Kidwell in motion. He'll move from left to right. Hutchison in the pistol. They give to Gibson.
He's gone.
Right up the middle. He hits
gone.
the official. He's still on his feet. And he's at the 20, the 15, the 10, 5, pylon 6. Just like that, 13 seconds is all it took. The only man that touched him was the umpire there, the back judge, as he shot out like a cannon.
He almost brought him down for a sec there,
Yeah, he did. A 55-yard rush, and he had 115 yards rushing in the first half. 55 more, and he's got a $170 here as we begin the third quarter, 46-6. Non-stop clock is in effect after they try the 2-point attempt, and just like that, Coach Jones may have already started cleaning things up in the halftime.
Completely demoralizing to have a team like DesArc have that happen to them coming out of the half like that. I mean, we've said that 3 times tonight, how demoralizing something's been when they put something together and then give up the quick touchdown. And another one of those one-play drives.
Yes, another one of those one play less than 60-second drives. Took about 12 for Gibson to scoot down the field from 55 out. Probably done it a lot quicker on a better surface. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside for 30. Junction City 48, DesArc 6. Stick around. We'll be back. Dragon Sports Network atop the Emerson Brewer press box here at Paul H. Muse Field. I'm Jacob Pumphrey alongside Sean Enos, and it is a 42-point advantage for Junction City over DesArc, the 2 seed out of the 6-2A. Jack Smith has things teed up from his 40. Going to be a corner kick high in the air, and it is going to bounce out of bounds. And so
good field position for DesArc.
It will be good field position for the Eagles. And I tell you what, Sean, we talked about it, the 4th meeting all time. As the nonstop clock is going to tick its way down near 10 minutes here. The 4th meeting all time. 2 of those meetings, Junction City and DesArc squared off in the state championships. And honestly, it's kind of night and day when you get to talking about those state championship games. One of them was decided in the final seconds, and in all due respect, the other one was decided in the first couple of seconds, as quickly as that 14 bunch, 13 bunch was able to jump out.
Right.
To a quick advantage here on the first play from scrimmage. I believe that's McCoy, and he cannot get the outside.
That's just Junction City speed, shutting that down on the edge out there. Just nowhere for DesArc to go.
Jakyron Cook, you talked about a tackle radius.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I think anywhere in the building, that young man might be able to run somebody down.
You're free to use that the rest of the year, by the way.
Okay,
tackle
I appreciate
radius,
that.
That's
I
a good
appreciate
one.
that. That's a very good one. 109.5 to play, clock running, 48-6 is our scoreboard. We talk about those matchups, and even in 14, Junction City and DesArc scored off in the quarterfinals. Junction City, as I mentioned, went on to win their 3rd consecutive state championship. But this one, not so much. I guess it's kind of maybe the red-headed stepchild of the 4-game series, with just kind of the way that it's turned out. But credit DesArc for the way they're still fighting. I mean, you look out there and you see some of the jerseys, and just as muddy as they are, they're still giving it everything they've got, especially when you look at Goodman and Morton and McCoy and Fields and Morton and guys like that. Here they are with a 3rd and 6, looking to keep the drive alive.
To be honest, Jacob, I saw them on the bracket, and I thought, wow, that could be a really tough challenge right there.
I agree. I thought the same exact thing. And they tries to get the right corner. And that's Jacob Moody, the senior. Several Dragons in on the stop.
I know their reputation, and I really was kind of worried about this matchup. We talked about it pregame off the air, but Junction City they sort of turned the corner early in the season around the time of playing. I say strong, somewhere in that area. I was at the Fordyce game helping Wayne on the air, and things just started happening differently for Junction right about that time in the season after the struggles they had with a really good Smackover team, a really good Haynesville team. And, you don't feel so bad about losing the Smackover this late in the season. They're plugging away, doing their thing. Very talented team. But Junction, something just didn't seem right early in the year, did it, Jacob?
No, it didn't. And when you look at it, especially defensively, in those first 3 games, Junction City gave up an average of 34 and change, basically, points per game. But over the course of the last 8 games, they are allowing just over 7 points. So credit Coach Brad Smith and that defense and what they've been able to do on this past 8-game stretch. And obviously, you know, if it's able to stick what the score is right now, although credit the Eagles, they're starting to move the football down across in deep into Dragon territory. I mean, it's you know, they say defense wins championships. If you watch the Monday Night Football game a week or so back, you probably wouldn't agree based on the way they were slinging it across the field. But in a case like this, with the way the Dragon defense has been able to step up, especially after those first 3 weeks, which were tough opponents. I mean, 2 of them are competing in 3A right now, trying to advance to the semifinals, and Haynesville's always in the mix down there in Class 1A in Louisiana. But yeah, credit Junction City as much as they've been able to figure things out offensively. They're getting their playmakers on the field all at the same time. It's been that Dragon defense that has really been impressive. It's been a big key for the run that they've made here. They're clicking at the right time.
You know, Gary even mentioned last week how Coach Brad Smith, defense coordinator, was out on the field. He's giving hand signals. He's sending guys in and out. He's coaching them up. And somewhere, to me, the Fordyce game was crucial this season for Junction City. Tough environment, tough weather. They go get the road victory, which we all know is rare in the history of Junction City Fordyce. And to hold the team like they did at the end of the game and the whole game, I don't know. I just think they gelled that night in a lot of ways against a quality opponent as well.
I agree. As a quality opponent that ran into a very good Conway Christian bunch last week, or they would have probably still been in the mix here in the quarterfinals. We're under 6 to play, third quarter, clock continuing to run. 48-6 is our score if you're just joining us. Class 2A state quarterfinals. Winner of this one, as Junction City, you know, appears to be heading on, we'll take on the winner of Foreman and Earl, and we'll try to get a scoring update for you on that one here as soon as we can. As Goodman, he'll pitch to the back. I believe that's McCoy. He'll try to lower his shoulder. 2 Dragons in on the stop.
That's just good discipline with your secondary coming up and making a play on the option is what you have to do. When everybody else is accounted for, there's not anybody out there on the pitch, man, a lot of times, and secondary has to come up and make something happen. Another thing, Jacob, is you know, the fact that everything wasn't perfect on offense for Junction City either early in the year, and they've worked some kinks out on that as well.
Yeah, they have. They've really. What Coach Jones said after the Haynesville game, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I mean, when they start talking about this season, regardless of how it ends, you know, years from now, they'll have to mention the fact that, you know, he was adamant about, I'm going to put everybody, I'm going to put my skill guys, all of them on the field. I'm trying to get all of them on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
Because he likes that hand against anybody else's hand in the state.
And that's a crucial point because AA football, you expect you're going to have a lot of kids playing both ways. It is a luxury in AA football to not have so many kids play both ways. But sometimes you have to take that starting running back and that starting receiver and maybe that starting quarterback and put them out there if they're your better athletes. And
on 4th and 4, Goodman trying to work out of his tackle, still on his feet. Man, credit that young man. He is still playing hard. 4th and 4, he picks up about 16, moves the football down inside the 10. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 5. And the Eagles knocking on the door here, trying to add another score as we near the 4-minute mark of the third quarter. Eldorado Chemical, Union Kennel and Farm Supply, Generations Bank, Terminex, Langsis, LG Farm and Timber, the Kevin Norris Memorial, Southern T-Shirt Company, Kim's Hair Salon, Junction City Florist, Hog Wild Pest Control, Red Roof Barbecue, Russell Cellular, First Baptist Church, Junction City, and the sound of the border town, Mighty Dragon Marching Band, Band Boosters. All proud sponsors of the Dragon Sports Network. They've allowed us to bring all the action here in the 2018 season to each and every one of you wherever you may be. And don't forget about our friends at 101.5 The Hog. Great partnership in its first year. Excited to be joined alongside them to open up our audience range even more. Allow folks wherever you want to be, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, to tune in and catch Dragon football. And Junction City got them a good one here, 48-6. Dragons on top, 2nd and goal for the Eagles. And Goodwin fakes the pitch, still on his feet. I tell you what, that's a good move right there. That young man, if anybody deserves to score for that offense tonight, it's definitely that young man. He punches it in from 4 yards out, and it makes it 48-12.
You know, it really makes me wonder nowadays, Jacob, with so many teams running some version of a spread option or spread kind of attack, throwing the ball a lot more. How many teams are still out there running the old school option, triple option? and how well teams defend that. That may be one reason DesArc's piled up all the yardage they have this year. They're running something that's now a novelty, basically. I mean, think about
Well,
it.
when you talk about that, the first thing I think of is Harding University.
Absolutely.
The Bisons, obviously in the Great American Conference, made the playoffs again for the second consecutive year. They run the triple option, the flex bone kind of wing, whatever you want to call it. There's probably multiple ways to do it, multiple ways to run it. But yeah, you'll ask coaches around the Great American Conference, if we're going to play those guys, we got to get them early.
Yeah. You have to put the brakes on everything you're doing and plan for that offense.
Exactly, and that's part of the case with DesArc. And credit them, they've stuck with their offense tonight. They find themselves in a big hole, down 35 as we're under 2 minutes to play. We'll step aside for 60 seconds. We'll come back with more Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. And welcome back to Junction City. Just 60 seconds remain here in the third quarter. 48-13 is our score. Dragons on top of the Eagles. Fourth meeting all time between these two programs. And as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Junction City overall quarterfinal record 13-2. That's impressive. That just goes to show you how many times they've been in the mix as one of the final four teams in the state across Class 2A and also Class 3A. Considering last year,
absolutely,
making that run all the way to the Class 3A state finals. As Junction City begins the drive with 30 seconds to play. Richard in the game. He's going to give to, I believe that's DeAndre Malone. We saw a little bit of that young man in the Parker's Chapel game. That is the case. Number 16, DeAndre Malone, he carried it well in his limited attempts. And
Junction City's putting in different faces on offense at this point.
And Junction City will not take another play here in the third quarter. And as long as the first quarter went, the third quarter's a lot quicker. Timeout on the field. We're going to step aside for 2 minutes. This is Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. Back live here at Paul H. Muse Field in the border town. DeAndre Malone's going to carry first play from the fourth quarter. He's wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage and dropped for a loss.
Penetration there by DesArc along their defensive line, and they're not giving up. They're, those guys are out there playing as hard as they can play, and they got good. They got it in the backfield early on that one.
James Walthall, Vidarian Sapp, Anthony Anderson, Gabe Richard in at quarterback. Logan Pepper out there as well at wide receiver. A lot of new faces for Junction City. A lot of the young guys getting a lot of good experience here in the playoffs.
Hey, nothing like getting the youngsters in for playoff games, Jacob.
Nothing like
help them down the road.
Spot pass complete and wrapped up, but not before he crosses midfield. That's Kelly Graves on the reception.
Let these young men get those uniforms muddy tonight.
That's it. Got to wash mine tonight too, Coach. Jamarco Singleton in the game as well. Peyton Robinson.
Nice route, nice pass.
Ethan Bryan also in there at left tackle. Whole new offensive line for Junction City. We're going to keep the clock running here.
Coach Jones out having a discussion with one of the, oh, he's calling timeout.
Yeah,
okay.
4th and 6.
4th and 6.
And then Coach Jones will call timeout, talk things up. We'll keep it here. Tell you what, we talk about the quarterfinals, just talked about the record, 13-2 overall is Junction City in post, as we like to call it down here in Junction City, post-Turkey Day football. They're 8-1 at home, 5-1 on the road. The 2 losses to eventual state champions. And when you talk about the first quarterfinal loss, is probably one of the more memorable games in Dragon football history. Take you all the way back to 1999, the night the lights went out in Junction.
I was sitting right below us.
Yeah, and I think I was in the, I believe I was in the south end zone, bundled up, really didn't know what was going on.
That was probably the #1 most unusual setting for a football game or night, overall night I've been involved in, and this would be one of the first half of this game being another one. But yeah, who can forget the Shiloh game?
For
I mean,
sure.
It's legendary. That's a statewide legendary game.
Good
People
snap.
still talk about it.
Good snap from Kidwell. Gibson's punt. It'll take a Junction City roll at about the 23, finally downed at about the 16. That's where DesArc will have it as we near the 10-minute mark here in the 4th quarter. Yeah, you talk about that 1999 game. It still kind of hurts just a little. I mean, I don't know if you ever get over that. You jumped out to a 24-0 lead, and then behind the magic and talents of Rhett Lashley, as well as head coach Gus Malzahn. Some
familiar name
some
there.
names that a lot of folks should be familiar
2
with.
head coaches in college, or 2 head coach on a top, not currently,
Very,
but
very well could be,
traditionally
yeah.
top 10 program. And
For
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. What a night.
What a night. Ended up shootout 70-64. Saints went on to win the state championship. And then you look at 2001. Junction City defeats Carlisle on the road, 35-21. Tell you, Mr. Sean, you might have heard of this guy before. He rushed for 192 yards, 3 touchdowns on just 13 rushes. He also recorded 9 tackles and 2 sacks on the defensive side of the football. Kevin Payne, he was an all-right ball player
I've heard of him.
for Junction City.
Yeah, big night for him on that night for sure. You know, Jacob, one of the things when you talk about Junction from an old guy's perspective, when you talk about the history of the postseason for Junction City, one of the things that was interesting when Coach Carpenter first built the program up, just previous to your age group getting there, is how we would go off and sometimes we weren't conference winners, and we'd spend time playing teams on the road. I remember going to a Harding Academy game one time up in Searcy. I've been to a Charleston game on the road before, and we played against these teams that threw the ball a lot more than teams did in our own conference and that teams did in the lower half of the state down here, and then we did ourselves. And, you know, one of the things as a fan back then and former player, as Junction picks up a fumble.
And that's going to run it into the end zone for the score. I believe that's Ethan Holmes, picks up the loose football, and he's in the end zone for the touchdown.
Absolutely.
Dragons add another one as Holmes picks it up at about he got it about the 12-yard line. And I tell you what, there wasn't no stopping that young man.
No.
He got the football in his hands.
He got there quickly.
And the junior did the rest with his legs. Punches one in, and it's 54-13 as we're near the 9.5-minute mark here in the 4th quarter.
To finish a thought, Jacob, Junction City, Coach Carpenter, we played a lot of big-time programs in other parts of the state where we had to travel to them in the early days of the almost-to-be dynasty back then. And we had to evolve as a program. We had to figure out how to stop these teams that threw the ball all over the yard. And I can remember suddenly Junction participating in a lot of 7-on-7 action. And even though we didn't maybe throw it as much in the regular season, we went off of 7-and-7. I say we, the program, went off to 7-on-7 tournaments in the summer. They started building that into their own playbook so that they could also practice against it. You can't defeat what you can't practice against. And suddenly when we started handling teams, I remember Horatio throwing the ball all over the yard one year. When we started handling those kind of teams, Jacob, that changed the direction of the football program. Suddenly we're on an even playing field with teams that like to throw it all over the place.
And Jack Smith's extra point is punched through the uprights very hard, and it is good. Timeout on the field. We'll keep it here. 55-13 is our score. Junction City all over DesArc. And you talk about that, it leads us into another memorable quarterfinal game for Junction City. And that's in 2005 when they go on the road to Harding Academy. This is a Junction City team that many people had probably written off. It's like, well, they'll get in the playoffs, probably first, second round exit. And then the next thing you know, they're in the semifinals at Charleston the next week. But it's that quarterfinal win over Harding Academy, another one of those teams on that turf up there in Searcy. They love to sling the football around the field. They were undefeated. Junction City rolls in there and takes a 21-16 victory. And you know the quarterback of that team, the head coach of the Dragons tonight, Stephen Jones. So it's cool how it always comes back around. And I tell you what, you think of big plays, the Justin Hoof touchdown run in that game. Big touchdown run, probably about 70-plus yards. Yeah. He gets down inside the 10, and they're starting to close in on him, and he's cramping, and so he starts weaving. He didn't want him to catch him, and he finally just falls into the end zone. So it's those memorable moments that have helped paint this the valuable and in-depth program history that Junction City has.
I just remember how, even though we had very good athletes back then, we would struggle in the secondary a lot of times. We'd struggle with pass rush, whatever it might be against those kind of teams. And you just always felt like, as a fan, as a former player, if we can ever stop these teams that throw the ball, this will change everything. And it did. It did. And that has been the key to us being able to go to any corner of the state and play football against other programs at a high level.
High kickoff is finally covered up at about the 30-yard line. Under 7.5 to play. It'll be nonstop throughout the rest of this one.
I wonder how this ranks as highest offensive output in a postseason game. 55 points.
You have to get the crack research department in on that one.
I'm getting blank looks at me everywhere I look, so somebody's got to find out for us.
For sure.
Not by the end of the airtime, but that needs to be your lead comment next week.
Definitely. It won't be the unless they can add about 11 more points, it won't be the highest scoring quarterfinal
not the highest,
game. Just
but I wonder where it ranks, though.
Probably going to be up there for sure.
I wonder where. We know what the top, but I wonder where this one ranks, though. It's a pretty good offensive night.
DesArc will keep it on the ground, still running hard, muscles ahead. As a host of younger Dragons are in on the action. Singleton, Gilbert, Holmes. Rolling in on the stop.
So valuable to get your young guys in on games like this and get them some experience.
Indeed. Cardarius Bunn, Matrez Smith. And they'll keep it on the ground once more. Man at the line of scrimmage and dropped. Under 6 to play, 55-13. We'll step aside to the scoreboard. Earl 20, Foreman 12. Winner of that one, if it is Earl, will indeed come to the border town. We'll have some semifinal action here along the Arkansas-Louisiana state line. If Foreman, the top-ranked team in Class 2A, can come back and knock down Earl, then the Dragons would be on the road next week in Foreman, which is a matchup that I think many around the state want to see. But the way this Earl team plays is a big hit in the backfield.
Number 5, Jacob Moody carried the ball for the Eagles. Stop was made by number 8, Jamal Johnson.
We got any numbers?
Down for DesArc.
We got any numbers on it? Ball went over here, 5 tackles. Under 5 to play, 55-13 is our score. Eldorado Chemical, Union Kennel and Farm Supply, Generations Bank, Terminex, Langs's, LG Farm and Timber, Kevin Norris Memorial, Southern T-Shirt Company, Kim's Hair Salon, Junction City Florist, Hog Wild Pest Control, Red Roof Barbecue, Russell Cellular, First Baptist Church Junction City, and the JCHS Sound of the Border Town Marching Band Band Boosters. Thank you all for allowing us to bring Dragon football, especially this quarterfinal matchup, to each and every one of you wherever you may be.
Somebody had to pay for fireworks tonight, so we need to give a mention to our special contributor tonight, whoever that was, that spiced up the night to add the smoke to the fog for us. Next time, maybe the DSN crew will know when fireworks are about to go off to our immediate right over here, right?
Yeah, maybe so. We'll get the little heads up, pregame heads up there, as Malone will get the carry here on 1st and 10. Hard running right there from DeAndre Malone. I tell you what, and Coach Meeks is over here to our left. We'll bring him in so we begin the post-game show here in just a couple of minutes. Malone, just a junior. You got to think he's going to be the next guy up. He'll be the one joining Cook in the backfield. He'll be the one joining Cook in the backfield next year, as they'll lose Gibson obviously to graduation. And we'll go ahead and jump into our offensive player of the game. And I think we all kind of agree up here atop the Emerson Brewer press box, Cavante Haynes, 2 carries, 67 yards. 3 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown. Let me add that. So a rushing touchdown on 2 carries for 67 yards. Hauled in 3 passes from Brady Hutchison for 54 yards and a score. He's our offensive player of the game.
That's a lot of offense on a few touches right there.
That's
Jacob.
it. That's a lot of the old YPC.
That's
absolutely.
absolutely.
Or your YPT, I should say, yards per touch.
Absolutely.
High snap corral. And that's going to be, I believe that's KD Smith on the carry. 3rd and 10, he'll pick up a small gain.
Great thing about playing the youngsters, Jacob, is the moment won't be too big for them next year when they're suddenly early in the season playing some big game already, and the moment's not too big because they've been in a postseason game, getting some experience. That's what you like about that.
Definitely. I'm sure Coach Meeks can think of some times back when he was a youngster getting that playoff experience as a freshman. I know I can. Remember playing against, Mountain Pine and Woodlawn there in 06. It definitely plays a big part of being able to that next year jump in and not feel like the game is quicker or that it just becomes football again. It's not as daunting, so to speak, at that next level from the junior high to senior high change. As the punt, it's at about the 38-yard line. It'll roll dead, not too far, down at the 33.
One of the neat things about AA football is moving those freshmen up. That's one of the cool things about small-town football. 1 minute and 40 seconds left, folks.
55-13 is our score. Junction City on top. And right now, the Dragons are set to host a semifinal game if Earl can hold on the road at Foreman. The Gators, the top-ranked team in Class 2A. And that would set up a titanic matchup here along the state line next Friday night. Montrez Smith, the junior, on the stop for Junction City. 60 seconds to play in this one. We'll go ahead and jump into our Union Kennel and Farm Supply post-game show. And I tell you what, Mr. Sean, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, providing the play-by-play. Folks, he was 22-6 as a starter, and as Junction City gets their 62nd playoff win tonight, the man providing all that colorful insight for you was responsible for playoff win number 1. I tell you what, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure sharing the booth with you.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, DSN crew. Enjoyed it.
As we bring Coach Meeks back on to the broadcast, just under 30 seconds, we'll go ahead and jump into the Union Kennel Farm Supply post-game show. And, Coach, when you look at Junction City offensively in the first half, everything was going right. The only thing that was really slowing them down was Junction City. They had some penalties, holding penalties, personal foul on defense that allowed DesArc to keep a drive or two alive. But for the most part, what have you seen? Let's just, before we get into any further, as the horn blows, and that's all she wrote from the border town. 55-13 is our final. Talk a little bit about Junction City just tonight. What did you see from their offense tonight that really, it's going to set the stage for a big semifinal matchup next week?
You can't KO one guy. As Devontae Hayes showed you, when he get the ball in the hand, he showed you what he can do with it. Also, you got that 2-headed monster at running back, with Gibson and Cook. And the offensive line did good tonight. When they ran the ball, they was averaging 4 to 5 yards a touch. Gave Brady time when he passed the ball, gave Brady time to pick his receiver. And like I said, I give credit to the offensive line tonight. They did real good, and They had a few little setbacks, but like I said, you had the little few setbacks, but they corrected them and scored points when they got inside the red purple zone. So it's still things you can improve on. So hopefully they correct that this week and be ready to roll in the semis.
And as you said, Coach, Junction City advances to the Class 2A state semifinals. And it's the first time they've been to the Class 2A state semifinals since 2015 after having played in Class 3A the past 2 seasons. And, Coach, let's rewind a little bit here as we're inside the Union Kenneland Farm Supply post-game show. First 3 weeks of the season, there's a lot of questions. People are wondering, what's wrong with Junction City? The offense can't click. Defense can't stop anybody. They're giving up an average of 33 points per game. Now, granted, the 33 points per game, this is to a pair of 3A teams that are battling tonight for a chance to go to the semifinals in Camden, Harmony Grove, and Smackover. Obviously, the Hornets were down to Booneville, who many think will compete in Little Rock in a couple of weeks. And Smackover was tied, I believe, 21-all with Osceola up there in Smackover. And then a Haynesville team that's always in the mix in Class 1A in Louisiana. But regardless, people, what's wrong with Junction City? Fast forward the last 8 games, make it the last 9 games, they're giving up an average of just under, I believe, 8.5 points per game. Yes. That is remarkable. Talk a little bit about what you've seen, just their progression. I know we could talk for hours about how we've seen Junction City improve in all facets of the game this season, but talk a little bit about what you've seen out of Coach Brad Smith's defense and how they've been able to improve probably since about week 3 or 4 up to this moment as they just punched their ticket to the semifinals.
As they started out trying a new defense, seeing, things weren't working. They went back to the old basic defense. Me and you are real 52 defense. And you can see the difference in, how they was preparing for teams and how the game plans were defensive. They was coming back, the linebackers making their old reads, and the defensive line just playing lights out. And defensive line tonight played real good. They held them 6 points. You'll take that from an offense out of DesArc like that. And me and Coach Steven talked before the game. We're down there when they were warming up. I said, man, this team really is gelling right now. He said, yeah. He said, I had to sit down and go back to the drawing board, and I had to put my skill players in the spots where they need to be at. He said, that made it a whole lot easier offensively, what he can do and what he can't do. And, it's, ever since that 3rd week, you can see it happening.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. Great improvement from the Dragon defense. Add to the fact that he tries to get all his weapons on the field offensively on that offensive side of the football. And as a result, Junction City, 14-2 all time. They improved to in quarterfinal games, 55-13 winners tonight over the DesArc Eagles, the 2 seed out of the 6-2A, and they're still fighting one out in Foreman. Earl and the Gators, the top-ranked offense or top-ranked team and one of the best offenses in the state, regardless of classification. The Gators are down 8, 20-12 was the last score we have. Go ahead and be sure to check out. You can check out the DSN Twitter. You can check out the Junction City School District Facebook page, their Twitter as well. We'll definitely let you know as soon as possible who Junction City will play and if they will, in fact, either be on the road or at home. If Earl's victorious, they'll host Earl here next week. If Foreman pulls it out, Dragons hit the road to try to punch a ticket to Little Rock. But regardless, wherever we're at, whether it's the border town or Foreman, we'll have all the action for you from start to finish here on the Dragon Sports Network and 101.5 The Hog. For Mr. Sean Enos, for our DSN crew, our guys down below keeping us updated with the stats, for our coach Gary Meeks, I'm Jacob Pumphrey. We have enjoyed bringing you a little post-Turkey Day football here in the border town. Again, the final, 55-13, Junction City over DesArc, and we'll have all the action for you. Semifinal tilt next weekend on the Dragon Sports Network and 101.5 The Hog. We will see you then.